Hey everybody, welcome to the Mana Leak. I'm John as always, and it's time to start some Kingdom Death Monster gameplay videos. If you don't know what Kingdom Death Monster is, I've done a few videos already building the models and unboxing all of the stuff that you're about to see. And I've got a pretty fancy setup here. I've got myself the overhead camera so you can see what's going on the board in the book with the minis, with the dice, etc. I've got the head-on camera so you can always come back to me and have me talk directly to you. And I also have a pretty nifty green screen camera built in where I can put a card on top and you can see it in much better detail just in case I want you to actually look at things. Hopefully that doesn't mess up, but we'll see. For those who don't know, Kingdom Death Monster is a sort of tactical boss fighting game, I suppose. Sort of like XCOM crossed with Monster Hunter. We're going to be playing mostly a tactical battle game. That's going to be the meat and potatoes of the game on this board down here. And we're going to be fighting monsters to get their bits, their innards and their outards. And we're going to use their innards and outards to go back to our settlement to improve our settlement and craft gear and improve gear and items and weapons so that we can go out and hunt more monsters to get more innards and outards. And that's kind of the loop of the game. There is a slight story pre-written throughout the campaign. We're going to open with a little bit of a short story for you. But a lot of the story, a lot of the narration, a lot of what happens is going to be unique to our game based on random events and things happening, people getting horribly maimed and killed despite being amazing heroes, people getting horribly maimed and killed despite being freshly born, who knows. Basically, a lot of bad stuff's going to happen to a lot of people. But why not get into the game? Once upon a time, there was a place of carved stone faces. A man with a lantern lay sleeping a dreamless sleep. The man knew nothing. One day the man woke up. He rubbed the dried ink caked over his eyes and opened them. Around him he saw other people stirring, and beyond, a horizon of unbroken darkness. A woman approached the man with the lantern. Her soft hand reached out to him. They had no words. They were a mystery to each other. Suddenly, a monster emerged from the darkness, its eyes wild with hunger. It attacked. The people were no match for the monster. It tore their flesh and crushed their bones between its teeth. Some it devoured whole. Overcome with terror and grief, the man with the lantern collapsed to the ground. Cold stone noses pushed into his side. There was no escape. But the man did not want to die. Desperately grasping at the cold stone faces, he felt a crack and tore at it with all his might. A piece of stone came free. It was sharp and deadly. The man with the lantern scrambled to his feet, his weapon clenched in his fist. He took a deep breath and roared into the darkness. Somewhere in the place of stone faces, nameless men and women stand together. They have nothing but a need to survive and a lantern to light their struggle. And here we are with the White Lion and our 4 survivors. Being a Magic the Gathering channel, I have of course named our survivors Jace in blue, of course, Liliana in yellow, as she's known for, Chandra in red, and Gideon, that G stands for green. These will not be our only survivors. We'll have a lot more throughout the campaign, and whether or not these 4 are going to live through this fight, who knows? You'll see I do have an app here. The game does have a series of sheets of paper that you can use for every survivor. It's a lot of writing in pencil and erasing in pencil nonstop. It's honestly just easier, especially playing solo, to use this app, which basically recreates the sheets without all of that writing and erasing and writing and erasing. So you'll see me referring to this app on my tablet quite a bit. Each of these characters are identical. They have a gear grid, which is a 9x9 square with cards filled in. Each character to start with has that founding stone, the sharp piece of stone that they found. That's going to be their only weapon, along with their fist and teeth. They also have a loincloth, giving them 1 armor point at their waist. Beyond that, these are fresh-faced baby survivors. They have no other skill points other than 5 movement points. Our White Lion has been set up. and it is in a prologue setup. You're supposed to do this before the start of every single one of your campaigns. It's sort of an introduction. It's relatively easier. People can die, however. It is not guaranteed to be easy. The showdown phase, which is what we're in right now, the big fighting phase, is played in a series of rounds with the monster acting and then each of your survivors acting in whichever order you want. It doesn't have to be the same order through and through. So let's begin with the monster's first turn. So I have a dashboard that I've printed out over here that has all of the AI cards, which is how the creature attacks, as well as the hit locations, which is where we're going to hit the lion. There's also a card that I have standing up here, which basically gives us the basic action of what the white lion could do, as well as on the backside, some information about how to set up the white lion fight, which we've already set up. So we will do the first AI card from the white lion. And like I said, this is a tutorial fight, so I know what this card is. The rest of the deck is shuffled. I also know what the top hit location card is. But this card is called Claw. This is going to be the monster's first attack. And most attack cards are going to have a pick target at the top. And we're going to go through that. That's a priority order list for us to figure out who the white lion's going to go after. Up first is the closest threat. That is a keyword meaning person standing up who otherwise is not a threat. Some items can do that. Facing, that is literally every square in front of where the white lion is facing, so half of this board. And in range, our white lion currently has a movement of 6. In order to set this fight up, we did have to put everybody within 6 spaces exactly. So due to this setup, every single character is a threat, every single character is being faced, and every single character is in range. So we actually get to pick which survivor we want to attack. Now there is something called the monster controller, which you can see here. This is a tile that moves from player to player each round. If the monster controller chooses themselves as a target, they get +1 insanity. Now, this is not a Cthulhu game. This is not a Mythos game. Insanity is good in this game. It's basically mental armor, because if you're insane, bad stuff doesn't get to you as much. Warning, this is a game with horror elements. It's not going to handle mental illness delicately or accurately or well. Be aware. So we are going to choose, because Jace currently is the monster controller, and I'm just going to go left to right. He's going to get +1 insanity because he chose himself as the target. So I'm going to mark that on the app. So now that we've chosen our target for Claw, we're going to move down to the next part, which is move and attack target. So the white lion is going to move. It can move 6 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is now in front of Jace. I guess you couldn't see that. It is now in front of Jace, and it is going to make an attack with a speed of 2. Speed always refers to the number of dice that you're going to roll. We're going to roll 2 dice. Accuracy of 2+. The white lion needs to roll a 2 on these 10-sided dice in order to get a hit or higher. And it's going to do 1 damage for each hit that it gets. And that will go into our discarded AI pile. So the white lion's going to roll its 2. It gets a 6 and an 8, which means it hits, and it hits. For every successful hit, we are going to roll one of these damage dice. These damage dice have different body parts on them. For ease of use, I'm going to roll them both at the same time, and we get body. So Jace is going to take 2 body shots. Jace does not have any body armor, so he has 0 points of body armor. We have little boxes that we can click, and I'm not sure how well you can see this on the app. But if you have no armor to spend, you have to take a light damage, and Jace is going to take that light damage. Then you have to take heavy damage, so we've done 1. Heavy damage is going to knock Jace down, and he's not going to be able to stand up until the end of the next monster turn. Kind of like summoning sickness if you're from Magic. We do have an option, should we so desire, to dodge this attack. And it might be a good idea to dodge the attack, I suppose. I don't really want Jace to just bite it on this first hit. I'd like to start getting some damage to this lion. So just to show it off, I am going to dodge. I have little tokens that I printed out. So Jace gets to spend a survival point to dodge. That is Jace's only survival point. He will not be dodging ever again in this fight. To dodge, we simply say that hit never happened. So Jace took light damage to the body. That will not go away until we return to the settlement. Let's hope his body survives a little bit more. And that's the White Lion's turn. Now we move on to our turns. Each of our survivors is going to get to take a move action up to their movement of 5, and each survivor is going to get to take an action, which typically will be attack. There are other things that we can do as we get more gear or as terrain appears on the board in future fights, etc. But today, it's basically going to be attacking. We're going to start out with Gideon over here, because I have plans for Gideon. There is sort of a correct move in every first game of Kingdom Death Monster, because I know what the top hit location card is. This will stop being the case immediately after this action and in every fight from here on out. But what we're going to do is we're going to move Gideon. So he's going to take his move action and go 1, 2, 3, and he's going to kind of hang out here. That's what he's going to do. And Gideon's actually not going to attack as normal. Gideon's going to do a special attack. Here's the Founding Stone that everybody has access to. At the bottom, it says spend an action point, the little lightning bolt, to sling the stone from anywhere on the board. Archive this card. Put it back in the box forever it's gone. For one automatic hit that inflicts a critical wound. You'll see why we're going to do this in a second. So we hurl the Founding Stone at the White Lion, and we immediately score a critical wound. And I guess we should talk about this a little bit later. This first move does unfortunately not explain exactly how combat works. But what we do is we flip the top hit location card, which I know is Strange Hand. And because it's critical, we immediately go to the bottom critical text, which says, you hack off the monster's hand. Spend 1 survival to treasure this moment and gain +1 permanent strength. Everybody starts with 1 survival. Gideon is going to spend his survival, and Gideon now gains +1 strength forever. And that's going to help him wound in the future. He no longer has a Founding Stone. He is going to be fighting with his fist and teeth only. But he's going to be able to wound more accurately, more better. That's grammar. Now here's one of the elegant parts of Kingdom Death Monster. To signify the wound that we just did, we take the White Lion's top AI card, its attacks, how it's going to fight us, and we put it, without looking at it, into the wound stack. As we damage the monster, we are taking away its attacks, which could mean that we are leaving that White Lion with nothing but its best, most amazing, deadly attacks, and it's going to get more and more deadly as we hurt it. Or maybe we're taking away its deadly attacks. Maybe this White Lion is just going to get weaker and weaker and weaker as we attack it. It's really cool, and it does make every single fight different. So that's Gideon's turn. He has moved, he has acted. I put a little token on the gear thing just so that I know that he has gone. Up next, we're going to send Jace, who took his body shot, in behind the White Lion. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is Jace's maximum movement. Jace is going to spend his action on attacking. Now, attacking is a little bit different for the survivors. The survivors are going to pick the weapon that they are attacking with, so Jace is going to use his Founding Stone again. The Founding Stone has numbers in the top left corner, a 2 for speed. So just like the White Lion, we're going to be rolling 2 dice to see if we hit. Unlike the White Lion, our accuracy is 7+. We have to roll a 7, 8, 9, or 10 to hit this White Lion. Now there's a bonus here. Because Jace is standing in one of the 2 spots behind the White Lion, he's in the White Lion's blind spot. So he's actually going to get +1 accuracy. So he's not going to hit on a 7 or higher. He's going to hit on a 6 or higher. Let's hope he hits. He rolls an 8 and an 8. That's got to be good luck. That is 2 hits. Now, if we were the monster, we would roll the damage dice and see where we hit the monster. But we are not that lucky. We are not that powerful. We draw 2 hit location cards to find out where we hit the lion. Not hurt, not wound, but hit. And unfortunately, we drew one of the, or not even one of, but the only trap card in this White Lion's deck. This is a card that immediately cancels all hits, and the White Lion immediately gets to have an extra attack on the person who attacked him. Jace, guess what? Jace might have an issue surviving this fight. So the attacker is caught in the White Lion's ruse and savagely mauled. The attacker is doomed, which means the attacker cannot use survival actions. That's fine. Jace has no survival left. Perform the basic action. So every monster is going to have a basic action. This White Lion is going to attack at a speed of 2 with an accuracy of 2+ and damage of 1. The White Lion rolls a 9 and a 2. That is 2 hits to Jace's body and waist. Now, Jace does have a waist armor, so that is fine. His waist armor goes to 0, although the cloth does not get destroyed. It'll get repaired somehow when we go back to the settlement. However, his body is going to take another hit. He already had light damage. Now he has heavy damage. He is knocked over. He gets to stand up at the end of the next monster's turn. Then we take that trap card and we shuffle it back into the deck. Not a great start to this fight. Not a great start. Highly recommend sleeving your cards for ease of shuffling. Let's put those back in, and that is Jace's. Let's call it a turn. Now, the upside is the lion is no longer facing Liliana and Chandra here. So Liliana gets to go boop boop into the White Lion, and she also is going to attack with her Founding Stone. Speed of 2, 2 dice. Accuracy of 7+, gets that bonus for blind spot, so we're going to hit on 6s here. And she gets a 4 and a 7. We get 1 hit. Hey, look at that. We get to talk about how hit locations work. We have hit the monster in the fuzzy groin. You hit the monster right in the ding-dong. Now, as I was saying before we got caught by the White Lion's trap, when you hit the White Lion, you have not yet damaged the White Lion. You need to roll to see if your hit actually even does anything. All of the monsters have toughnesses. This monster has a 6 toughness, and that means that we need to roll a 6 or higher to wound this location. Now, our Founding Stone at the bottom has one extra number I've not talked about. It has 1 damage. We get to add that to our roll. So if we roll a 5, we will wound the White Lion's fuzzy groin. We roll a 9, which is great. If it was critical, we would have punched the White Lion's balls off. We would have gotten them. They would have been a resource we would have taken back home, but the White Lion would have become deadly enough that we probably lose the fight. So we successfully wound, which means we get to take another AI card off the top, throw it in the wound stack. This White Lion has lost an attack, and that's Liliana's turn. Chandra, going to do the same thing, come up in behind, attack with her Founding Stone. Speed of 2, accuracy of 6. She gets a critical, which does nothing. It's called a perfect hit, but for now, that doesn't matter. We don't have anything that cares about perfect hits. But we get a 10 and a 5, so we get 1 hit. And we hit the beast's temple. I haven't talked about what these failure things mean yet. Hopefully, we won't have to. Just like Liliana, we are going to wound on a 5 or higher because of the +1 from the Founding Stone. And we roll a 1. We fail. So let's talk about failure. These are reactions up at the top. There's failure reactions, which happen when you fail. There are wound reactions, which happen when you wound. And there are reflex reactions, which happen regardless of what happens. We failed that wound, so it says perform basic action targeting the attacker. So this White Lion is deadly. It's turning around and it's attacking Chandra at a speed of 2 and an accuracy of 2. Hey, look at that. The White Lion missed once, but does hit on the 9. Where does this White Lion deal 1 damage to? Well, it deals it to Chandra's body. She's going to take light damage, not heavy. She doesn't get knocked down. But that is now everybody's turn. So now we get to go back to the White Lion's turn, and this has been a bad start. This has been a very bad start. Let's hope we don't just wipe here. The White Lion draws another AI card, and it just gets worse. This White Lion is enraged. This is a mood card, so this is a passive effect that's going to stay in effect for a while. When this comes into play, draw an AI card, because we're going to be doing another attack. While Enraged is in play, White Lion gains +1 damage token per monster level. So now this White Lion is doing 2 damage on each attack, which is horrendous. Let's get a token out here just so I remember and put that underneath the White Lion. And when a survivor suffers any dismembered, severe injury, or is killed, we get to discard Enraged. We might have a wipe here. The second AI card that Enraged told us to draw is Size Up. This one is not as bad. Pick a target, random threat in Field of View. Now Jace is knocked down, he's not a threat. Field of View is literally every square on the entire board that is not the blind spot. So not these 2 spots in behind the lion. So we need to pick a random target. I'm just going to go random die, yellow, red, green, 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 will be Chandra. Chandra is the random target. Intimidate the target. The monster stares down its prey. Turn to face the target, it already is, and roll 1d10. On a result of 4 or higher, the target suffers 1 brain damage per monster level and is knocked down. It's a 1. Chandra doesn't care. That White Lion ain't nothing. Roar all you want. Jace gets to stand up. And we need to damage the ever-living heck out of this White Lion now, or we are going to die. So, pro tip about this White Lion. A lot of the failure reactions or the wound reactions have the White Lion running straight forward. We have 2 people straight forward. We don't want Jace to attack yet. We're going to move Chandra in behind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And she's going to attack from behind. Speed of 2, accuracy of 5. She hits nothing. Good job, Chandra. We're all very proud of you. Jace is not going to attack yet either. We're going to move Liliana out of the way. Liliana will attack. Now, she's not in the blind spot, so she is going to hit on 7s or higher because she doesn't have that bonus. She rolls a 2 and a 3. She fails. Good job, Liliana. Jace, do something. Jace is going to hit on a 6 or higher thanks to the accuracy. He rolls a 4 and a 2. He does literally nothing. He's gonna 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's gonna move out of the way so that Gideon can get in. Gideon, save the day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now Gideon is attacking with Fist and Tooth. I don't immediately have the thing on hand, but Fist and Tooth has an accuracy of 8 or higher, and it has no damage bonus, but it has a luck bonus if that comes up. So he's going to hit on a 7 or higher here, and he rolls a 4 and a 1. That was our turn. That was all we managed to do. The White Lion's next attack is Grasp. Target, closest knocked down survivor in range. No, we don't have one. Closest survivor in range. That's everybody except for Jace. So we get to pick who's going to be grasped here. And we will choose Chandra to be grasped. I think Chandra is going to be the one who's going to bite it here. So the White Lion's going to move around and target her with a speed of 1, so just 1 die, and an accuracy of 2 or higher. Rolls a 4. Now there's some more stuff on here. We have our damage die. So the White Lion hit, and it's going to be attempting to do 2 damage to her hand. After the damage, the White Lion is going to isolate its prey by full moving the White Lion away from everybody and bringing the survivor with them. So the White Lion's going to end up way over here, out of range. That's going to be horrendous. Chandra will die. Everything will die. Chandra has a survival. She's going to use dodge. So that attack, that hit, doesn't happen. And now, once again, we need to actually hit this white lion. So let's move Chandra in behind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She's going to attack with the Founding Stone. Speed of 2. She's going to hit on 6s. She gets 2 hits, a 10 and a 7. We hit the beast's ribs. And the trap card. So, the attacker is doomed. The white lion turns around and attacks her with a basic attack. Speed of 2, accuracy of 2+. Hits her twice, doing 2 damage each to the body and the arms. The arms take light damage and heavy damage and knock her down. The body takes heavy damage and knocks her down. And that extra point of damage causes us to do our first severe injury roll on the body. When bad stuff like this happens, we open the book to the severe injury tables. This is on the body. We roll 1d10. We roll an 8. Broken rib. It even hurts to breathe. Suffer -1 permanent speed. So Chandra is going to always be rolling 1 less die than she should be. This injury is permanent and can be recorded multiple times. Gain a bleeding token. So Chandra has a bleeding token. If we have 5 bleeding tokens, she dies. Let's shuffle the trap card back into the deck. The upside is if she dies, we get rid of Enraged at least. Right? Right? So that was Chandra's turn. We might have a total wipe. I could see this going very poorly. Enraged is not a card you ever want to draw in this battle. This will be one of the harder fights you do for a long time. It gets significantly harder as the game goes on, but we have no weapons. We have no bonuses. Our survivors suck. So does this white lion. So the second fight against this white lion is also relatively tricky because we suddenly jump up to a level 1 white lion. But anyways, let's have Gideon attack. He's in behind already. Fist and Tooth, he's going to hit on 7s. He gets a 7 and an 8. That's 2 hits. We hit the beast's scapular deltoid and the beast's chest. Both of them have failure states of the white lion's going to run full forward, which is going to grab Chandra and send her flying and deal more damage to her. So goodbye, Chandra. We hardly knew ye. We have to pick one of these. It doesn't really matter which one we hit. Let's go with the beast's chest. Now, the white lion has a toughness of 6. Gideon has that +1 strength. So strength is also just like damage. We get to add 1 or take 1 away rather. So we're going to wound on a 5. We roll and we crit. We crit. Maybe things are looking up for us. Maybe things are looking up for us. We critically wound the beast's chest. We take an AI card off the top and throw it away. The critical wound says you strike at the white lion's stout heart. Gain 1 random white lion resource. So the white lion has a deck of resources here, and we just get one. These are the innards and the outards that we desperately, desperately want. So we shuffle them up. And we get great cat bones. So if we survive anyways, we get to bring some great cat bones back to the settlement. Let's throw those over there. There's more to this critical wound though. Roll 1d10. If the result is a 10, the white lion dies instantly. Oh my God. Oh my God. We did it. We're so good at this game. We're so good at this game. Oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. there's like 2 hit locations in this deck that have kind of like, if you crit and then crit, the white lion dies. I don't think I've ever done it before, but we just did it. That white lion is toast. Whew. So, upon killing the white lion, remember this resource stack that I just had us look through. We get 4 white lion basic resources. We get some white fur, luxurious and soft to the touch. We get some sinew. These stringy guts are quite useful. We get the lion's testes. We took them anyways. A hefty pair of nuts is what the flavor text says. And we get a little bit more white fur. Throw that in with our cat bones, and there's some innards and some outards that we're going to take back home. But wait, there's more. I can't tell you how hard I'm holding in making a joke about an infomercial and how you're going to love these nuts. Good old slap chop. We have a basic resources deck. These are not white lion specific, but we're going to get some more innards and outards off of this white lion, who I can't believe we survived through enraged. With only Chandra taking a broken rib. So I have some plans for Chandra. She's never coming out with us ever again. So we shuffle up the basic resources deck, and we get 4 of these as well. We get Monster Bone, a bone suitable for crafting. We get a broken lantern, remains of an extinguished lantern. That's not useful for a long time. A perfect bone, a mind-numbingly perfect bone. Okay, good thing to remember when filming these, make sure you have enough disk space. Luckily, the only thing we missed was our next monster bone. So we came out of this with 3 monster bones, plus a cat bone, a couple of fur and some sinew, a hefty pair of nuts, and a broken lantern. That's an interesting start. We are going to be pretty heavily weaponized, I believe, for our next fight. We're not going to be terribly well armorized, but we'll have to talk about that in just a bit, because now we're going to head back to the settlement. All right, so this starts the second phase of the game. The showdown is the meat and potatoes of the game. This is the settlement phase. Sort of like playing complicated Excel spreadsheets. We're going to be spending our gear. We're going to be experiencing some story and building up our settlement and getting ready to go out and hunt another white lion. Will be our next fight anyways. We'll see if we switch that up later on. The first step we're going to do is set up our settlement. We're going to give our settlement a name. I don't know any other place of greater horror than Innistrad. Insert joke about whatever plane you hate, I guess. So we're going to name our settlement Innistrad, and that is going to give us a +1 survival limit. We talked about survival in the showdown phase. Survival is how your characters spend, or the resource that your characters spend to dodge, and later there are other actions that they'll be able to do, but they can only have your settlement's survival limit. So currently we can only have 1 survival point. We're going to increase that, and we're going to increase that pretty shortly here. As well, any returning survivor is going to gain +1 survival for this time only. So we get to go through our app and give everybody their survival point back who used it. I believe that was everybody but Liliana. Liliana didn't get touched. And we're going to heal all of our survivors, so all of those light wounds and heavy wounds that happened and the damaged loincloths, all of that goes away. Chandra's broken rib does not go away, however. That's permanent, barring us finding some sort of special way of fixing that. There are some medical things far off in the future. The next step that we're going to do is gain endeavors. We get these star tokens for every survivor who returned, and we get to spend these a little bit later to do stuff, to improve our settlement or to take actions or whatnot. But we'll set those off to the side for now. Next up, we're going to update the timeline. Every campaign that you play is going to have a timeline of lantern years that you're going to go through. A lantern year being the time that it takes for a lantern in the lantern horde to go out, which means, oh crap, it's time to go hunt another monster. There's going to be some pre-printed events on certain lantern years, and some of them will be empty. That is to give you sort of a brief framework of how your campaign is going to start. But like I said, a lot of the storyline is emergent and random, so our campaign is going to be different than anybody else's campaign. So we've updated the timeline by marking off the first year. We have a couple of things that we have to do for the first year. So Lantern Year 1, it says that we need to do a settlement event called First Day. Every year after this, we're going to draw a random settlement event card. This is going to be some sort of event that happens this year. The first year, the event is always called the First Day. The survivors wander, drawn to a blooming light in the distance. They find the serene comfort of a towering pile of lanterns and a small collection of scared people. On a deep instinctual level, they know this area is safe, and they make it their home. Innistrad. Roll 1d10 to determine your starting population and record the result on the back of the settlement record sheet or in your app. Choose and record genders for unnamed survivors. You may name an unnamed survivor and create their survivor record sheet at any time during the settlement phase. So we're going to roll our 1d10. We get a 3, which is not the best. That means that we're going to have 6 unnamed survivors along with our returning ones. So we're going to have a starting population of 10. Let's quickly go in and create 10 new people. I guess they all need names, eh? 6 people. So let's do 3 females, 3 males. So we will make Nissa as a survivor. We will make Kaya as a survivor. And we will make Elspeth as a survivor. And then our 3 male survivors that we found here in Innistrad will be Koth. I wonder if I should keep these all as planeswalkers or not. Probably not. So we can make our friendly red shirt who's going to die, Odric. And we can also make... Let's go with Teo. Let's go with everybody's favorite, Teo. So there we go. We have made our 6 unnamed survivors. We have a population of 10. Each time we go out on a hunt, we pick 4 survivors to send out. It's not always going to be the same 4. Some of these are going to be fodder who are just going to go out to die. Some of them are just going to stay home and make babies. But those are the survivors we have right now. Return to the settlement section of the first story and proceed to Returning Survivors. This card will never be used again. So like I said, on the timeline, sometimes there are story events, and we do have a story event called Returning Survivors, which we need to flip to in the book. So Returning Survivors, we nominate a survivor to utter the first words. So we're going to nominate Chandra, because I know what this does. And Chandra has had some speed issues. And so she's just not really going to come out hunting with us again. So we're going to nominate Chandra, and there's a card that I need to find here in order to get that set up. It should be in here somewhere. There it is. First words. The nominated survivor steps forward and gains +1 courage. So we get to go to Chandra and give her +1 courage. As you gain courage, there are some special milestones that you can unlock. And courage will sometimes be a relevant stat during hunt events. So let's give Chandra +1 courage. You are very courageous with your broken rib. They lead the others in learning to speak to one another. They discuss their situation, realizing they must hunt to live. Add the white lion to the quarry list on the settlement record sheet. We can now choose to hunt the white lion. Your settlement gains the language innovation. So we get our first technology, which is language. We get to record that in our app. And you can see that language gives us a survival limit of +1. So now our survivors can have up to 2 survival points. They don't inherently refresh those, by the way. We do have to get other abilities or gear that lets them, sort of refresh those a little bit. As well, all survivors gain the encourage survival action. So just like we could spend a survival to dodge, now we can spend a survival to encourage, which is tell a knocked down survivor to get up. So if we need a survivor to stand up soon, we have that ability. As well, it adds the language consequences to the innovation deck. Going forward, when we want to innovate, which involves us spending a star token, an organ, a bone, and a hide, we get to draw 2 innovations out of a deck of currently 6 cards. And we choose one of those innovations to be the innovation that we get. That innovation typically will add more innovations to the deck. So as we learn more, the deck is going to get more diluted. And there are certain innovations that we want to get our hands on pretty quickly, but we'll see how that goes. So we've built the innovation deck in the app. I'm not going to bother with the cards. But now finished with the work of setting up our settlement at the Lantern Horde, which is this building here. Or sorry, we haven't built the Lantern Horde yet. We need to go to the Glowing Center. Armed with language, the nominated survivor aptly names the glowing center of their home the Lantern Horde. The settlement gains the Lantern Horde settlement location. So now we have access to the Lantern Horde. We're going to have access to a number of buildings pretty quickly, actually. And they're going to give us the ability to build gear or do things, etc. The Lantern Horde, and this is probably going to green screen out, sure is. The Lantern Horde gives us the ability to innovate. So that lets us spend, as I said, Endeavor, Bone, Organ, Hide to innovate. There's a few things here green screened out that allow us to build other buildings, the Bonesmith, the Skinnery, and the Organ Grinder. And there's a little thing down here called Shared Experience. Basically, we can have experienced, that's something I forgot about, experienced survivors teach inexperienced survivors and give them XP. So that is something that I forgot about. Every survivor, when they finished that fight with the White Lion, gained a Hunt XP. As you gain Hunt XPs, you age. As you age, you generally get better until you retire. We don't age until we get 2 experience points, however, so nothing really happens other than us getting that 1 XP. Next video, assuming we survive, we will age. The nominated survivor sits in front of the Lantern Horde in awe and gains +1 understanding. So Chandra has +1 courage and +1 understanding. Again, some events require understanding. If you have high understanding, you get better results. And there are, sort of like aging, there are a couple of events that happen as you get more understanding. They must skip the next hunt phase as they ponder the meaning of existence. So we're going to actually mark off that Chandra does not get to go out hunting next time. Spoiler, she's never going to go out again with -1 speed. So that lets us return to what we were doing, walking through setting up and doing the settlement phase. So next up, we update the death count. We don't have any deaths, shockingly. We check any milestones. So there's a few milestones in our settlement. Something's going to happen when we have our first birth. Something's going to happen when we have our first death. Something's going to happen when we have 5 innovations, like language. And something's going to happen when we have 15 population. We've met none of those, so we don't get to do anything. This is going to bring us into the final main phase of the settlement phase, which is development. This is where we can do the actions of the Lantern Horde, which is kind of the only thing that we can do at the exact moment. I'm going to take a brief look at all of the items that we have. We have a ludicrous amount of bones. Absolutely ludicrous amount of bones. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to spend a star token, an Endeavor token, to build the Bonesmith. So we get to take the Bonesmith card. Now we have access to it. And on the Bonesmith card are a whole bunch of weapons that we can build, as well as the ability to someday upgrade to the Weapon Crafter. So for example, we could turn one bone into a bone dagger. We could turn one bone into bone darts, which we will be doing. Or we could turn two bones into a skull helm, or one skull into a skull helm. So we have that because we are going to definitely need weapons from our bones in order to survive. We really didn't get the hides that I want for the skinnery, but I think that'll be another thing. So we'll spend another star token to build the skinnery. The skinnery is exactly the same as the bone smith. However, it has armor in addition to a couple of items like bandages, rawhide charm, etc. We are desperately going to be looking to get a full rawhide set of armor, preferably 2, before too long. We have 2 more endeavors to use. We may as well build every building that we have access to. Let's build the organ grinder here. The organ grinder is going to turn organs into stuff, things like monster grease, which is really helpful. It gives evasion to all of your survivors, or sorry, to the survivor who has the monster grease on them. Evasion makes it just harder for the monster to hit you. And there's some other cool things there as well. So taking a look at what we need, as I mentioned, we definitely need some bone darts. So I'm going to spend a monster bone. Realized I knocked the green screen off there. I'm going to spend a monster bone in order to make some bone darts. So I have all of the gear that we can make. Should be in a binder, but I've got them in these pages that are pretty handy. None of these are what I need. There we go. Here's the bone smith page and the organ grinder page, actually. And we get access to bone darts. So we get to take out bone darts. And our settlement now has this weapon. And this is a key thing to remember with Kingdom Death Monster. You're definitely looking to build up your survivors and make them better, but really what you're doing is you're building up your gear supply. Your survivors are kind of expendable, because even if your survivors die, the gear always comes back. How? Don't ask. There's an expansion coming someday that's going to explain that. Your gear just magically comes back to the settlement, even if everybody dies. But we get bone darts. Bone darts are really handy because they're a ranged weapon, and there's a reason you want access to a ranged weapon early. Hopefully we don't come up with that, but we now have bone darts. What else can we build? We could definitely use another weapon here, perhaps a bone blade. So let's use another monster bone to build a bone blade. So somebody has access to a sword. So again, if you compare this bone blade to the founding stones we were using, both are a speed of 2. But the bone blade hits on a 6 instead of a 7, and the bone blade does 2 damage instead of 1, so you're going to wound a lot easier. So these bonuses are definitely going to help us out. So we've got bone darts, we've got bone blade. I think what we'll do is take a brief look at what we can build. Great cat bone, sinew, and bone. All right, so I'll tell you right now, we are going to save this sinew. Any resources that you don't spend are recorded in your settlement and then put back in the deck. You don't lose them. You have them for future years. This sinew is going to be really good for building a bow. So we are not spending that. And great cat bones. Great cat bones are really important for building a spear as well. But I do want to do an innovation. Hard choices. We can't do anything with the scrap yet. You can melt that down for iron, but that takes a long time to get up to there. Okay. So we're going to innovate. That's what we're going to do. We're going to innovate. So to innovate, we spend our final star token, and we spend a bone. So we'll do great cat bones, and an organ. We'll do the lion's testes, and a hide. We'll do the white fur. And then we get to draw 2 cards out of the innovation deck. As I said, I'm going to do that in the app because it's just way easier to do that in the app and then grab the card to take a look at it. So we're going to draw 2 innovations, and we get given Hovel and ammonia. Both of these are pretty okay. They're not the innovations that you are absolutely desperate for at the start, but they're pretty okay. So going through and finding these, we get Hovel and ammonia. Why would I want ammonia? Why would I want ammonia? So here's ammonia. Ammonia is a pungent bilious substance ideal for crafting leather and treating wounds. Ammonia is going to unlock the ability to make leather, which is pretty handy for some pretty upgraded armor. As well, departing survivors gain +1 survival. So like I said, survivors don't inherently refresh their survival. Here's a way for your survivors to get an extra survival when they go out hunting. Our other option is Hovel, which gives us a survival limit of +1. So our survivors can have more survival, and departing survivors gain +1 survival. I'm going to take ammonia because it's pretty handy to have access to early. So our settlement now understands language and ammonia. So what we would do if we were playing with the cards and the deck is we would add the ammonia consequences, and as a result, that makes our deck a little bit more. A little bit bigger, a little bit harder to get exactly the one that we want. So that leaves us with a perfect bone and white fur. I think we want some more armor, so we'll spend a white fur to make a rawhide headband. This is a piece of head armor because the head is more dangerous. I talked about light damage and heavy damage to the body and to the legs. The head does not take light damage. The head simply takes heavy damage right away. So if we can have some armor in the head area to prevent at least a hit, that would be pretty handy. There's some stuff down here that is not relevant at the moment. I'll talk about that when it's relevant. So we have crafted bone darts, bone blade, and rawhide headband. We have one perfect bone left, and we may as well make sure everybody has weapons. Can we build a bone axe? A bone axe requires a bone and an organ, so no, we cannot. But we could just build another bone sword. These are not weapons that I'm planning to hold on to forever. I am not planning on making an army of sword masters here. I am just making sure that people have some weapons. So we spend the perfect bone to build a second bone blade. So with that, we're going to throw away all the resources we used. We kept the sinew and the broken lantern. So I'm going to go to my storage, and I'm going to mark off that we have a sinew and we have a broken lantern so that we know we have those for future years. Because like I said, that sinew is going to help us build a catgut bow before too long. So the next step is prepare our departing survivors. We're going to pick who's going to head out and hunt the next white lion. So Chandra cannot go out, and we don't want her to go out. I do want to send out the people we already have gotten 1 XP. So we'll send Jace out on this hunt. We'll send Gideon out on this hunt. We'll send Liliana out on this hunt. And then our new red survivor, let's send out Elspeth. She'll never die. So Elspeth is going to head on out as well. I do need to mark her color. She is going to be red in our next fight. And what we can now do is set up our loadouts for these survivors for the next hunt. So we have their gear grids. And now we can update their gear grids. So remember, Gideon was our fist and tooth boy. We're not going to care about him having a weapon. He's going to get real good with punching and biting because there's some cool bonuses to that. We're going to give a bone blade to Elspeth. We're going to give a bone blade to Jace. And Liliana will be our ranged person with the bone darts. The rawhide headband, we can pick who to give that to. And I think at the moment Gideon is kind of our special little boy because he's got that +1 strength. He can hit just a little, or he can wound, sorry, just a little bit easier. So he's going to be getting in the real thick of things. So let's make sure his head has a headband on to help all the brain damage he's going to have happen. So there we go. We've prepared our departing survivors. We've recorded our resources. We end the settlement phase. And that is going to bring us to the end of the video. There is one phase left that we have not gone through, and it's going to be the start of every video going forward, and that is the hunt phase. We don't simply show up and fight the white lion. We have to find the white lion, and we have to deal with all of the things that we find between us and the white lion. So for the next video, we'll be starting with a hunt of the white lion. We'll be fighting a fully powered level 1 white lion, and then doing another settlement phase, hopefully with not many deaths. Let me know if you enjoyed this video. I'm hoping to do an entire campaign, and if you all like it and it does well, many more campaigns. I am playing this with no expansion figures or rules. I am playing with some expansion cards. So you may see terrain from the Dragon King show up, for example. But there's a lot that we can do. There's hundreds of hours of gameplay content just in the base game, let alone when I add in all the expansions. So let me know what you like. Let me know what you didn't like. It is deeply important to hear from people who like and enjoy the content, because that tells me that people like and enjoy the content. You don't necessarily know that as a content creator. But anything that you think could be improved, let me know. If the green screen worked, that's awesome. Hopefully there were no massive hiccups on that. But let me know anything you want to let me know. And I'm going to hope to make this roughly a weekly segment, depending on recording times. But that's all for this fight. I can't believe we made it through with nobody dead. Let's hope that keeps going. I'll see y'all next time.